Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hero Homestead channel. It is me, your host, Zach, today. How's it all going? Been a busy couple of days here for me here at the homestead. As you know, we've been gearing up for spring and growing our little farm, which means we have to grow facilities. So after you guys saw the mini chicken coop we made for some of the babies, now we've got a lot more. So we've been building a full-scale chicken mansion, as we've been calling it, that is going to have enough room comfortably for all 50 of the chickens, plus all the birds and other critters that we've got. So that's taken up a lot of time the last few days, whether it was cold, wet, dry, nice, or not nice weather out. We've been out there playing in the mud, doing carpentry. You should ask Blake. He hates construction. He'll happily tell you. But no, it's been good. I've been glad I've been able to have his help. But yeah, how's everybody doing? It's been an interesting couple of days. As most of you know, regardless of where you're at, May 1st was kind of a date set by a lot of the government type folk that are telling us what and where we can do and go. That all the restriction would be removed, and lo and behold, May 1st, they changed their mind. And from what I can tell going on around me, there ain't nobody being happy about it, and I'm not sure how I feel about it either. So my thoughts on the whole thing brings the word balance to mind, because you always have to strike a good balance with everything in life, obviously, but with this sort of thing, I kind of touched on it in passing before of, if you open things up, well, first off, if all this is really necessary or is it not? And if it is, then to what degree do you implement things, and then for how long, and at what cost? So, like in Ohio, they're still saying they're going to stair-step things being open as far as businesses. At first, it was essential business only. Now you're allowed to go to work if it's essential or non-essential. So I'm like, is that everybody? What does that mean? Doesn't make sense. There's some blonde girl that's got a viral video going around right now where she goes down all the things that the media have said about this, and it's like self-contradicting every other sentence. I mean, she does it. It's pretty hilarious, but it's true. It's like, what are you doing? One minute do this, the next minute don't do that, unless you have to do that, but don't do it because it's wrong, even though it's right, but it works, but it doesn't. Come on. Stuff like that. But yeah, finding the balance with things. So for me, like I said, I've not been able to go to work because my job works and services a lot of medical facilities, and with asthma, lung issues, chronic problems, medical conditions like that, and a few other things. Not they were saying it's not really safe, and I get it. I've seen a lot of people that have lung issues or that are susceptible to them. Obviously, it's a respiratory disease, whatever you want to call it. So higher risk. I mean, they say it makes me the same as being an old person. That's or usually young people too, but in this case apparently not. Even though again it might be. So finding that balance of what's okay and what's not. So yeah, I've been thankful. I've stayed home. Literally stayed home. I haven't really even left the house at all to do anything. But at a certain point, when do you say enough's enough? There's a lot of people that have stayed home because their jobs ran out of, they couldn't support the financial aspect of their business because of, they're not getting any customers and things like that. Thankfully that's not something I have to deal with. But it's difficult for people. I'm a big guy on, your rights in the Constitution, and I believe in a lot of it, got my concealed carry. Is what it is, but I also believe in safety and protecting others and doing, if I can help someone by doing something simple, like, hey, let's just all chill out, stay away from each other, no one gets sick, cool. But now you have people saying that doesn't work, and then you have other people saying it does work. And then you have people that obviously, in any situation, will abuse what's going on. And is that what's happening? I don't know. So now I find myself trying to balance a lot of different things. Like, My normal day, it's supposed to be balancing my day job and then my homework that, for here at the homestead of what I got to get done, and then time with family versus time with friends versus time with myself. And I thought that was difficult. Now it's balancing thoughts of, okay, I'm supposed to stay home, even though most of the stuff I've seen and witnessed and had people talk to me about who are still working in the hospital, saying like, yeah, people were getting sick, but it's nothing, doesn't seem like it's anything more drastic. It's just people that have conditions or don't take care of themselves or whatever are the ones that are getting it. So what do I do? Do I stay home, put myself at risk, or my household at risk, or keep them from being at risk, or do I go to work and put them at risk? Or at the same time, is that me playing into some sort of, game that the government seems to be playing right now? Because I know I'm not the only one who feels like there's a whole lot more going on in the world right now. I mean, there's a complete sense of uneasiness with all my faith-based friends and things like that. Every single one of them talks about how they feel like, I don't want to call it a disturbance in the force, but, like in the spirit realm of things, that stuff isn't right. So there's a disturbance in the force. I feel it. I know things aren't right. I can sense things are different. And it's unsettling. It's like, what do you prepare for? I've a lot of my prepper friends, they talk about how, being prepared for like, government takeover or some sort of like mass chaos event. They call it a Carrington event, where, like if the power grid were to go down, utilities would be out, or just something like that, or, a great catastrophe like, earthquake or tornado or, something like that. You can plan for all of that. And most everyone was like, I couldn't plan for a virus. It's like, because medicine is hard to get and you don't know what to do. You're not a doctor. I mean, most people aren't. So, yeah. And, even to them, they talk about, there's too much coincidental things that seem kind of orchestrated. Like even I think it was last week, that video got leaked from the White House press briefing room, where a dude was coming in and he was like cleaning or sweeping up, and then like a reporter had come in and they were talking and they had their masks off and they were talking about how like, oh, you don't got to wear that, it doesn't matter. And they said the numbers are fudged. I'm shorthanding all of this, obviously, but the numbers are fudged, and so the rate of contraction is like 0.00 something. It's a crazy low number, like way less than even 0.5%. And on top of that, they mentioned that everyone had already been vaccinated, which there's not supposed to be that anyway. So they're either more prepared in that one statement than they're letting us all know than they let on, or it was whatever. But either way, my point of that is it seemed very orchestrated, that video. So, I mean, like it was intentional. You don't make mistakes like that. You don't just know. Like, okay, the reason I feel this way. Person who had myself, I have experience in filmmaking, I have experience in storytelling, that sort of stuff. The room, I don't know if you know this about the White House, it's a pretty secure facility. It's not like you can just walk in and out and go freely, do what you want. You can only go certain places to and from. So for them to have access like that, you would think someone had to come in, turn the camera on, sound check it, spot check it. They'll do all that stuff with reporters in the room because they don't care. The president's a busy man. They can't waste his time. It is what it is. But somehow these two guys were in there alone. The cameras were on and broadcasting, and then was able to record all this with no sound issues. I mean, that means everyone in the room had to be quiet to make it clear, crisp audio. They weren't talking directly into a mic, which those cameras have to record. They have to have some sort of capturable audio device to do that. And they weren't at the podium, they were just walking through the room. I mean, even when you're in the room during a press briefing, when you have to really listen to hear what the reporter is saying. That's why usually the president or the press secretary or whoever is in there, or in any press conference, that's why they usually repeat your question. That way they know that person out there who's talking and asking me the question is not mic'd. I am. So I'll repeat it so you can hear it, and then I'll answer it. That way everyone's on the same page who's watching. But in this room, these guys who just walked in, one's cleaning up, one's a reporter who walked in the room from wherever, can hear him crystal clear, plain as day. It's not that hard. It's not, I don't know. It just seemed a little too set up for me. And then someone had to get that footage, get it out of the White House, and get it on the internet or to a source that could get it everywhere. Just that whole concept seemed a little intentional. And if little things like that are happening, then you know bigger things like that are happening, and it sucks. So back to the idea of the balance is, now am I thinking there's some craziness going on in the world, and I really have to, think, okay, is the government kind of changing things, which means they are really going to start stripping rights away or doing mandatory vaccinations or, controlling food shortages. I got a lot of farm friends where, you can see it. They're having to slaughter their animals because they're not allowed to take them to market because they might have COVID, but animals couldn't get it. What's the deal? Same thing. Like I've seen some stuff about these potato farms in Idaho because that's their main thing. They're just culling the fields and then leaving it to rot because they're not allowed to send it in for some reason. It's like, what are they trying to do? Create an intentional food shortage? I mean, you see it on the news. Tyson took out full-page ads in magazines and newspapers talking about it to make sure people knew that there is going to be a problem. And, they're blaming it on the fact that, the employees can't go because they're worried about coronavirus. Is that true? Or is it because when you're unemployed and now that the government is giving out, when in history has the government handed out so much money freely? Like, I know Obama gave a stimulus package, but it wasn't as much as this, and it was just like to restart the economy is what they said, and that was back then. Now they gave I think it's twice the amount of the one that Obama did. It's $1,200 now per person of a stimulus check. But on top of that, if you're unemployed, you automatically get an extra $600 a week from, it was like the end of March, and it'll carry you all the way through the end of July. They're just giving that out. So how do we not know that the people that are working at the processing plants, the meat plants, whatever, what if they are realizing I'm making more money by staying home because I still get my regular unemployment from being laid off and then $600? So someone who went from, bringing home $400 a week on their paycheck is now bringing home $1,000 a week on their paycheck. People in that situation have to decide for their family what's best. And if they're like, well, I don't have to go out in public where I could get sick because that's what everyone's telling me will happen if I go out, and I'm going to make more than double what I make by staying at home, getting to spend time doing the projects around the house that I want to do, spending time with my family instead of having to get up and go to work and butcher animals all day. I'm just using this example. I don't know, no way to prove or say anything. It's just a thought that I've had. And I get it, if it's what's best for your family and you can be helpful and you're not putting yourself at risk or, leeching off of any kind of source, even if it is the government, because God knows they leech off of us. Literally, that's where they get all their money, taxes. Then you got to do what's best. But how do we not know that that's the real reason that all this stuff is happening? Because then that's why they're not going to work. So they're saying it's because of coronavirus, but if you follow all the way down to the root of the issue, it's that. And then you go further and you go, okay, well, why is the government giving that kind of money anyways? Almost like they want people to not go to work. But why? I don't know. If they're trying to control the food, then they are controlling the people. So now, back to the balance of, do you go to work and say, nope, we're going to do this, we're going to get open, I'm going to take the risk, or do I stay home and take the money, take care of my family and have a little fun or relax and whatever? A lot of questions about balance for myself lately, and I don't understand it all. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all super conspiracy theory on you guys there. It's just, there's so much stuff flying around these days. It's like, every time I turn around, it's Trump said this, and then everyone did that, and then, the health CDC or whatever says this, but don't do that. There's money to be had, but you shouldn't take it. I don't know. I really don't. It's crazy. I've been so busy that by the time you take a break to catch up and look at everything, it's like you're getting hit in the face with a brick with all the information, and then you got to try to knock the days off and decipher everything. I don't know, man. It's crazy. But you got to make a decision at some point. You got to weigh the scale and go, well, I'm either going to tip it this way or that way, or make the best of what's in it. Because you can't always balance everything. Sometimes you have to give everything you got to one thing and then move on and try to get a second one going. So right now for us, it's let's get the farm going. Make sure it's up fully functional, because I can look at this, I try to get the most positive result out of everything I can, which is, all right, let's say there is a food shortage. If we're doing a farm, then let's do it fully. Get the animals, get the food growing, get everything going that way. If there's no food in the stores, we can take care of ourselves, our families, and our community. And if there's not a food shortage, guess what? We can still take care of our families, ourselves, and the community. That's why I'm really digging getting to be a farmer. I mean, I always said if I couldn't be an actor, I'd be a farmer. There's some sort of like calming peace in it. You're doing something good that's actually meaningful and actually has a real purpose. People can't survive without the food. And, you get to be connected to the earth, which is good. I don't know, it's like in Greek mythology, there was Hercules had to wrestle him. I don't know if he was another demigod, but his name was Antaeus. And he almost killed Hercules, and he had to couldn't figure out why he couldn't beat him, because every time he'd throw him on the ground, dude would come up stronger, and he found out that was his superpower, basically, of as long as Antaeus was in contact with the earth, he was able to draw power and energy directly from the earth and keep getting stronger. His wounds would instantly heal, and he would be fine. So, in that story, Hercules finally had to just pick him up and basically held him up off the ground and squeezed him to death. But, I don't know. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. Oh yeah, being a farmer, working with my hands, being in the dirt. I feel kind of the same way with that, of like when I'm in the dirt, when I'm working, just being out there, I feel like invigorated, and it's because I feel like I'm doing something good that is going to actually mean something, and could possibly help somebody someday. So I don't know, a lot to think about. Sorry, I kind of rambled on you guys today. Like I said, I took a couple days off to focus on getting work done around here, and I come back and it was like, whoa, what the heck is going on with the world? I'm trying to keep up. But life still goes on. It's not stopping. Doesn't take breaks for little old me or anybody else. So, yeah. Still got the chickens. Still got the farm. And I still got more work to do. But I thought I'd drop in and give you guys a shout out. So, hope you're all doing well. Hope you all are being able to work out everything you guys got going on in your lives and can get it all to balance itself out. Why? Because that's what heroes do.